is Toby Summerfield. I'm a guitar player and bass player in Chicago. One of the projects I do is called Never Enough Hope. It's a very large group. I think as a composer, I have a hard time thinking of myself as like a composer. Like, you know, I can't really play piano, and my hair isn't white yet. So, and it's not much about concept to me. It's not like I'm going to write a piece where the pitches and the chords relate to each other in this intellectual way. It's more like there's all this music that I like, and trying to make a synthesis of it, including all the emotional and intellectual things that are interesting to me in one project. Well, at least in this case, that's the point of this band, more so than like trying to express my voice as a composer. When I write for that band, I try to include people's personalities who I'm going to ask to play the parts. So if I'm writing a part for a saxophonist, it's not in any saxophonist, it's one particular person, the drummers or whatever. That comes from having played in rock and roll bands for years, where all the composition happens collectively. It's all the personalities dealing with each other and reacting to each other in a specific way. One of the ways that I try to do that is, because I can't clearly have those 20 people or those 25 people around in my bedroom, like hanging out, writing songs for months. That would be awesome, and maybe when I get a grant. But it's like buy a mansion, we'll all live together, we'll all write together, cook, garden. It'd be great. One of the ways I do that, or try to simulate that environment, is by playing a part into the sampler and then trying to come up with a complementary part, you know, in the spirit of somebody else, or in the spirit of that kind of collaboration, where it's, you know, it's not the two parts. I'm not thinking of the two parts uniquely in my head, like, here's this part, it will go with this part this way, right away, where it's more like, here's a part I came up with, now other fake Toby person, come up with your own unique take on it. Yeah, so it would be like, you know, if there's a phrase like, so there's that, and there's any number of things I could do that work with that. And I have all this time to improvise. You know, at like a rock band practice, somebody comes in with a riff or a part or whatever, at least in the rock bands that I've done, and everybody has to deal with it for a while until they make up their part to go along with it. And then maybe one of those parts leads into another idea naturally, where everybody has to, you know, collaborate on the next part or whatever. So I do that, and then I have, as long as I want to improvise with that part and try to come up with what feels like a complementary part, and in the spirit of whoever I'm trying to have play it. And then with the sampler, I can put in all these ideas and hear how they sound next to each other. So I've got this idea happening, and then I pick another one. Whatever it is that I managed to cobble together. Sometimes the same thing is true for just writing a melody. A lot of the Never Enough Hope stuff is built on these sort of dense vamps. You can think of it as minimalist, or really it just sounds like a math rock band to me. But I guess that those guys I like also like all the minimalist composers that I like. One of my favorite composers is Fred Frith. And a lot of his early records would be like recording basically a rhythm track, and there's structure for a song, and then improvising a melody over it, and then, or doing many passes of an improvised melody, just like a solo, and then writing that down and elaborating it to be more like a written melody. So, you know, if I have this thing going on, and I'm going to write a melody, come up with something that I like, I can either sample it or sample a phrase of it and then try to make it tighter or more elaborate somehow. I don't have a handle on any computer notation software. Like I say, I'm not a very good piano player, and the easiest way to do input into those programs is via like a MIDI controller. That's another thing on the list, things to buy, MIDI controller. I imagine that it will, you know, just like writing music helps you get better at reading it, playing the piano with something I come up with will help me understand how to play the piano a little bit better as far as like just piano literacy goes, being a composer, sort of seeing the keyboard as a palette instead of as like this other instrument that's baffling to me. So I handwrite the scores. I have big old score paper with 21 stabs on it, and I write it down. There's a lot of scratch stuff going on too. I'll write out whatever the simple phrases are, and then when I go to put it in score form, it's like writing it into each instrument's range and in each instrument's key.